Hi beauties, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute since I uploaded a video, but today I want to upload a really fun Makeup 101 how-to video. In today's video, I really wanted to sit down with you all and show you what products that I use and the steps that I use them in. I really wanted to explain each product and what they're for and how to use them. I thought it would be great for some beginners and just give everybody more insight on what the products are for and how to use them. I really hope this is helpful, and if you want to see how I got this natural look, keep on watching. So I'm just going to be taking you through my routine and what I do. Everybody has their own steps and their own routines, and I'm just going to show you what works best for me. If something else works best for you, that's perfect too. So something that I always do is I start with my eyeshadow. I know a lot of people start with their foundation first, which is perfectly fine, but for me, starting with eyeshadow just works better because I tend to get a lot of fallout from the shadow on my eyes. And if I need to wipe it off, I don't want to wipe off my foundation, so I do that first and then my foundation after. I'm going to show you what steps I take to start my eyeshadow. The first thing I always do is prime the eyes. When you prime the eyes, it acts as a sticky base, which makes the eyeshadow more vibrant and shows up just beautiful. I started using eyeshadow primer when I was so young. I didn't even know what it did, but I remember using it one day and just being like, wow, my makeup looks completely different. So I am a firm believer in eyeshadow primer. And if you don't have eyeshadow primer, which I don't even buy eyeshadow primer anymore, I just use my concealer. So all you have to do is take some of your concealer. I use Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Light Medium Honey, and just put a little bit on the lids of your eyes. Not so much, because a little will blend a long way. And then you're just gonna take your beauty blender, which I will go in on how to use the beauty blender in a little bit. I'm just gonna use this really quickly right now and blend that in your eyes. You don't have to use a beauty blender for this. You can do this with your finger perfectly. I just use mine because I use it for everything. Sometimes I think blending with my fingers applies the best application. Eyelids are primed, and the next step is to apply the eyeshadow. So since I'm showing you a very basic how-to video today, we're just gonna start with a really simple look that you can wear every single day. The palette I'm using today is the Nudie Patootie palette by Laura Lee Cosmetics. And this is the shade range. It is extremely dirty because I use this all the time. But as you can see, they're all pretty much naturally shades that you can wear anytime you want. One of the first things I always do when applying my eyeshadow is to add a bone colored shade to my lid to set the primer in place and act as a base for everything else that you're about to put on top. I'm gonna go in with this bone shade right here called Undressed. And I'm just going to pack that on the lid. Nothing super precise, really just packing it on. I find having a base just makes the shadows blend better, and that's honestly the reason that I do it. Everything just seems to like blend smoothly and nicely when you have this base. Now we're gonna go in with our color. I'm gonna do a pinky look, a peachy look that's still really neutral today, and I'm gonna go in with the shade Bear right here. This is one of my go-to shades, especially for summer, and I could wear this every single day and I don't feel like it's too much or overpowering on my eyes. When applying eyeshadow, you want to take a fluffy brush like so. I use all Morphe brushes, and this one's really old, so it doesn't even have the number on it right now. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lighter shade, tap off the excess so I don't have all of that fallout. Something that's really important is to take the shadow and just pack it on the end of your eye. It might look crazy at first, but there's a method to the madness. So you just pack it first and get that pigment on there. So now that you can see the pigments on there, you can blend. So you're gonna blend going from the outers of your eye to the inner, in that crease. Windshield wiper motions will blend out really nicely, and you can blend out as far as you want. Some people like it really blown out. I like it a little bit blown out, but not all the way. But that's my preference, and that's why makeup is so fun, because you can just do whatever you like. It really is a form of art, which I think is so fun and great. So, hitting the crease and smoking it out. So our color's on the lid, and now I just want to deepen it up a tad bit because, like I said, we're doing a natural look. So I'm going to take a bit of a smaller brush, like so, which is more of a pencil brush, and I'm going to go in with a darker shade right here, Butt Naked. I'm going to go in with that, and I'm just going to hit my corner of my eye. I'm really just pressing, and this just adds that dimension that maybe your look needed. You could stop at this pink shadow and then just put a little bit of shimmer in the crease and be done. Now that our eye is just darkened up a bit, I'm going to go in with a shimmer for the rest of my lid. This is my go-to makeup look, shimmer and matte on the end. The shade that I think I will do today will be Topless mixed with Uncover. And beauty tip, it's really great to use your finger for shimmer shades. They just apply nicer and it's super easy. It takes like 5 seconds. So just apply with your finger everywhere where you just did not put shadow. So the inner corner of your eye basically. And you want it to look nice and shimmery. Let's say you apply your shimmers and you just feel like it's not popping as much as you want. Here's a tip that you can use. You can take a flat brush that looks like this or even bigger than this. I just happen to be using this small one right now because my other brushes are dirty. What you're gonna do is take some setting spray. You're just gonna spritz the brush. Then you're gonna take that brush and you're gonna go in with the shimmers that you're putting in your corners that you want a little bit more, you know, shimmery, and you're just gonna pack it on. Remember to pat it. Don't smear it. Pack it on. Another tip I want to show you guys is if you feel like you have fallen underneath your eye over here, which I always do, it's totally normal. You take a makeup wipe the excess, and you can make your eye shadow whichever shape you want. So I always wing it out. So if you can see, there's more of a wing there. And then once you do your foundation, you can also wing it out with your foundation and your concealer. So that's a really fun little trick. If you're not loving the way that your eyeshadow is coming out, you can always make it the shape you want with a makeup wipe. I'm quickly just going to do the other eye off camera and then I'll be back so we can go to our next step of makeup. Both eyes are done and we're gonna cruise right along to foundation. So just like for our eyes, we need to prime our face. So we're going to use some face primer. So there's different types of face primer. There's pore filling face primer, there is glowy face primer, matte face primer, and it's really just up to your skin and how you feel like your skin feels. If you're having dry skin, you might want more of a dewy primer. If you're having an oily skin day, you might want to go for more of a dry mattifying primer. I personally like primers that fill in my pores, and one that does a really great job of that, which I talked about in my last video, the e.l.f. poreless putty primer. So you open it up and it looks something like this. It's like a creamy texture, and when you put your fingers on it, it warms up the product, and you're just gonna add those in all areas of the face, especially in the areas that you feel like you might have more pores. So mine would be my T-zone area, where I would go heaviest on the primer. And this is really just setting a great base for your foundation. Like, this is what is going to make your foundation look great. If you're putting on foundation and you feel like, oh, my foundation looks cakey, it's just not laying on my face the way I want it to, maybe try a primer if you haven't used a primer before. I had that problem too, and then I started using primers and I'm like, I'm never gonna go back. I'm just adding that, like I said, my T-zone. So this is your T-zone area. And those are the areas that tend to have the most pores. So if you were to just add primer anywhere, I always recommend T-zone. Now that we've put that on, we can move on to foundation. The foundation that I use is Born This Way by Too Faced, and I use the shade Warm Nude. There are a few different ways that you can apply your foundation. It's really, again, up to you. You can use a beauty sponge. If you don't know what a beauty sponge is a great way to apply cream products to your face. It really helps blend very nicely and soaks in the product, but not too much where it takes too much away from your face. So you can use a beauty sponge or you can use a brush. So brushes that are very compact and together like this are great for foundation. And a lot of times if you buy one, it will say foundation brush on it. If you're using a brush, it gives you more of a full coverage foundation look. There are two options that I personally use. So when I take my foundation, I just do a few pumps, usually about 2 or 3 pumps to start, and just apply it to my face. So I'm just gonna do 2 pumps here on the back of my hand. And this is probably going to be still a little bit light for me. And you know what, for the sake of the video, I'll do one side beauty blender and one side makeup brush, and we can look at the difference and you can see which one you prefer. So you just put it directly onto the sponge and start pouncing it onto the face. And it doesn't matter what side you use. I tend to use this side, the pointy side, near the eye, so I can get in really precise underneath. Another thing that I want to mention is when you're using a beauty blender, you want to pat it into the face. Pounce it back and forth. You do not want to rub it on the face. That will take off the product and leave streaks on the face from your foundation. So you always want to pounce. So for this side, I'm just going to go in, dip it on from my hand, and then I'm just going to apply it the same way and kind of use circular motions to buff it into your face and then pat. Again, even with brushes, you don't want to drag because that will create this streaky look that you're not looking for. I usually go for a medium coverage. I don't feel like I need a full coverage, but if I'm breaking out really bad or I really don't like the way my face looks, then maybe I will add a few more pumps and a few more layers because foundation tends to be very buildable and you can build it to what you like for your own face. Now that we've done the foundation, we're gonna go on with probably my favorite part of makeup, which is our concealer. So it's back again, our Tarte Shape Tape. And what we're gonna do is put it on the inners of our eyes and the very outer of our eyes. You're just gonna take some of your product. Like I said, I used Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Light Medium Honey and put it here. And then I'm just gonna put a little right here. I'm gonna leave that middle blank. So for those of you who are not sure, concealer is to brighten up your under eye. If you're having really dark eye circles or you feel like you have some blueness inside of your eye, this will really help and it will complete the makeup and make everything just look blended together and nice. So I'm gonna go in, and for this, I do really recommend using a beauty blender because I think that a beauty blender is going to blend this in the nicest. You could use your finger, but that could move the foundation underneath. So you want to just try to use something that you know is going to pat it in, but not move the foundation you have already put on your face. This could also be another way to shape your eyeshadow. So I already have my eyeshadow on. Now I can choose my shape. And I like more of a winged out type of shape like that. So now that's really just winging out my eyeshadow. I'm gonna go straight to powder because this is a must do. I was not a firm believer in face powder. I really didn't see a need for it until about 2 years ago. I used the FENTY Beauty one. So powder helps set your foundation. We primed as a base, we put our foundation on, we put our concealer on. Now we need to set the face to make sure our makeup stays in place and stays on all day. So I usually just put a little bit in the lid. I take my beauty sponge again, which is, I'm telling you, I use this for everything. And I dip it in, and I first want to go underneath the eyes because the eyes is an area that tends to crease a lot. So you want to put this where you feel like you crease a lot. So underneath my eyes is definitely a high spot. And the crease of the nose, because that's another place that really starts to, like, the makeup starts to kind of lift off your face and you can kind of see it. So setting that will actually help that not happen. Big one for me is the forehead because I tend to get lines. You could already see it starting to happen. So essentially you're putting the powder wherever you feel like you crease and you're going to need it. So for me, that is my entire face. I definitely want to go in with bronzer to make myself look like I have a little bit more color and bring myself back to life. So bronzer, for those of you who don't know, it comes in all different forms. It can come in powder, it can come in cream, but really the purpose of bronzer is to give your face more color. And really, honestly, in my opinion, it makes me look like I went to the beach or got a tan. If I were stranded on a desert island and I had to take 3 makeup products, this would be the first one that I would take, even though I wouldn't be seeing anyone. Bronzer that I really love is the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula. It's super pretty and super creamy. I've gone through like 4 of these, and you can get this at your nearest drugstore, CVS, wherever, and it is just as great as the Marc Jacobs. This is just a more upscale, but you don't need this. You really don't. For bronzer, you want to use a fluffy, big brush for your face. That's what works best for me, is a big, fluffy brush. You're just going to want to go into your cheekbones. So since we didn't contour, we can kind of do some of our contouring now. And you're going to want to just put it right in your cheekbone. In the face definition that wasn't there before. So as you can see, my cheeks already look more, and then always hit the forehead too, because you want everything to look the same. I just love bronzer. I really do. I just love having color in my face. And if your face and your neck seem to not be matching, you definitely want to hit some on your neck because you don't want to have any harsh lines where you can see your makeup. And that's something that I've probably learned the hard way a couple of times. Bronzer's on, we're looking tan, and we're looking like we have color. So my next step that I always do after my bronzer is my blush. I know in my last video I showed the Moon Prism palette by Manny MUA, and I just have so many blush products that there's so many to go around. One that I want to show today is actually the KVD blush. It's a very cute packaging, and this is the shade FOXGLOVE. This is a color I usually tend to go for blushes. I think it's more natural, and it kind of just looks like you have like a sun-kissed look. For blush, I usually take a fluffy angled brush like this. All of the brushes I'm using are from Jaclyn Hill Face collection. When you're doing blush, you want to get the high points of your face and your cheekbones. So a good way to do that is to smile and then apply it. When you smile, it just really shows you where you want to hit it, and it makes it defined. I always apply a little bit to the nose and a little bit to the forehead. So the next thing that I do is probably one of everybody's favorite steps in makeup, and that is to highlight. My go-to in life for highlighters. I use it. I've been using it for years. I love Fenty Beauty. I love everything about the brand, and I absolutely love this. This is probably like the 5th that I've gone through, not even kidding. In the shade Mean Money and Hustla Baby. I use a brush, but if I'm using a cream highlighter, this one that I have from e.l.f., I use my finger and I pat it in. I do suggest if you're using a powder highlighter that you go in with a nice little fluffy brush. Just add that there, and now as you can see, we're glowing. And I like to put a little tiny bit on the forehead and a little bit on the tip of the nose and a little bit on the bridge of the nose. Our look is almost done. We've gone through a lot of products and how to use them. As I said in one of my previous videos, I love to add eyeshadow underneath the eye. So I'm going to do that on my under eyes, and I'm going to use the same palette. And I'm going to go in with that shade that I did in the corner. And I'm going to use the same pencil brush that I used before and just go underneath the eye. I feel this really brings the look together. And the reason that I do this now is because this is something that I feel like you have to do after you've done your concealer, after you've done your foundation, because now you're applying eyeshadow on top of that concealer and foundation. You're just gonna take it right underneath your lower lashes. This is super easy, and this will make your eyeshadow game go to the next level with just a simple step. One of the shimmer shades, and just go right into that inner corner. So you can just pat that right in, and that really makes that inner corner shine and pop. We are coming down to the final stages of our makeup, and now I think it is time to do some brows. Now, this is definitely optional. Not everybody's going to want to fill in their brows, but I tend to because I have light hair, so sometimes you can't really see my brows. So I like to just brush them out and fill them in a very little bit. Eyebrow product that I really like to use is the Precisely My Brow by Benefit, and I use the shade 3.5. First, I think it's important to take that spoolie and brush up. This is what I do for mine. I brush up because I know a lot of product while I'm doing my makeup goes into my brows. So I want to kind of brush that product out and up for a nice little arch. Just going to fill in. I'm going to take my spoolie one more time, and this kind of like blends everything in so it doesn't look like a harsh, really intense brow. And to take it just a little bit further, I like to use eyebrow gel. Now, this is definitely not necessary for everybody, but my eyebrows tend to kind of stick up, so this helps them really just stay in place. I'm gonna go right in with mascara, and I use the Roller Lash by Benefit. This one has a nice curve, and I use the outside of the curve, and I just kind of blink all the way and just add as many layers as I think I need. Just want to get those inners as well. You're gonna want to also put some onto your bottom lashes, but very lightly, so put it on your bottom lashes. Now that mascara is on, we really just have 2 more steps of this makeup look, and that is our lips and our setting spray. So let's go in with lips, and since we're doing a neutral look, we're gonna go in with a neutral lip. I have a lip liner here. It could be any lip liner you want. So what I usually do is I line my lips and fill in my lips with the liner. So to line my lips, I go a little bit underneath my natural lip. Once I've done the bottom, I usually just fill it in. And then for the top, you're gonna do about the same thing. Now my lips looks are filled in, I'm gonna just go in with a nice little gloss on top. Know me, I love this gloss. It is my favorite gloss, and it is the Fenty Beauty Fenty Glow. I probably have like 5 of these in my house, and I put it on every single day, and it is just so comfortable. This looks good on every single skin tone. Finish up our whole look, we're gonna go in with some setting spray. So the purpose of setting spray is to have your makeup locked for the entire day. That's the eyes, that's the lips, that's the foundation, that's the blush. Everything that you apply to your face, you really want it to stay. So this will really help do it. There are a ton of different setting sprays that you can use. I just happen to use the Morphe one because I think it's really great and it's more of a mist. So you just hold down and apply the entire face. And it's gonna feel wet for a second. That's totally normal. You can fan it, wait till it's dry, and there you have it. All right, guys, so this is the finished look for today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know a lot of my friends and my family were asking me if I could do a video where I explain the products and what they're for and how to use them. So I really hope this was helpful and that you can use this when you're doing your everyday makeup routine or any makeup routine, and it just gave you more insight on what these products are used for. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel and comment below and tell me what you would like to see in the next one. Bye, guys.